with all this commotion going on, I'm like, where's my help? Why ain't no one helping me? So then as I'm just getting beat, I'm just thinking like, this is my punishment. This is God punishing me because I should have been left. I shouldn't have let him came back. I should have stayed gone, and now he punishing me and about to teach me a lesson because I let him come back. So I'm just sitting there and I'm praying and I'm just like, somebody help me. Like, I won't come back. I won't let him come back. I swear I won't let him come back. If you just get him off of me this time, this one last time, I won't let him come back into my life.
All right, Sidea, how you doing?
I'm doing fine for the most part. I'm breathing, so I can't really complain.
Okay, well, let's just jump right into it. Where are you from originally?
I'm from Bal Harbor, Benton Harbor, Michigan.
Okay, how was it like growing up there?
It was difficult growing up there. I was bullied, so.
Okay, bullied for what exactly?
It might sound silly now, but I got bullied for being pretty and having long hair.
Okay. Did you go to like a predominantly like white school or something?
Predominantly Black.
All right. So growing up in Benton Harbor, did you grow up with both parents in the same household?
In the beginning I did, and then eventually my parents split. I'm the youngest of 7 kids.
Okay. Did all you guys live together, or is it like 7 kids on the mom's side, 7 kids on the dad's side?
On both, and then when they split, my dad had other kids.
Okay. All right. So did that really affect you growing up at all? When they split up, did you stay with your mom or dad?
My mom.
Okay. So did that make you have a weird relationship with your dad when they separated?
Yes. Okay. Like, I didn't really see my dad ever since after his incident. He got shot 7 times, and once in the head and all over the body, and he's paralyzed. He only got motion of his right side, like he can move his right arm and like move his head, but everything else he can't really move. Oh, wow. So being there wasn't really much unless I went to go see him. But I'm a kid, what kid is going to willingly just, take the first step?
Do you know exactly why he had got shot?
I don't know exactly why. Just growing up, the story I was told was that my dad was walking down the street. A guy in a black hoodie came up, shot him, flipped him over, and was about to do a face shot. And then he realized my dad was the wrong guy. Mm-hmm. And he said, "My bad," and took off running. And then from my aunt's side of the story, that's when everybody else came running out the house. I was in the house, but I don't recall. I was probably like 4, 3 when that happened. Okay.
So besides that, would you say you had a pretty normal childhood growing up, or was it anything like different, any type of abuse or anything like that growing up?
Not really. It was just me and my siblings and my mom. My mom packed up and moved away from Benton Harbor, and then we settled in Grand Rapids. So it was just our mom and us, and my mom had to work. So it was just like my older siblings watching the younger siblings. It was really just us.
So you said you had went to Grand Rapids, right?
Yes.
Okay, so how was it there? How old were you when you went there?
I was about 5. I remember doing 1st grade all the way up to about 5th grade in Grand Rapids.
Okay, and was that a good time there, or?
It was challenging at first because Benton Harbor area schools is, how can I word this? It's behind. So when I went there, I felt dumb. I'm sorry. It was like growing up, I moved around a lot. So it was always challenging and everything was always different. So it was hard to, I guess, adjust growing up. I think that's why I'm socially awkward now, because I just kept my head down and kept to myself. So I don't know how to really word that. I'm sorry.
For the most part, you just didn't really have a good experience growing up, going to school. You just pretty much an outcast, you would say.
Yes, I was always the new girl.
Okay. Okay. So I know that was like elementary and stuff. So how was it like middle school to high school?
Middle school, I did for a year. I went to Arkansas. I got a sister who got a different dad, and I went down with her and her dad, and I did my middle school in Arkansas. I loved it. It was a good experience for me. My sister, it wasn't as good because I was when I was there, I was spoiled. They was good to me. They bought me whatever I wanted as long as I kept good grades. Like I finally like fit in. I made some friends, and then since my sister wasn't having a good experience, my mom thought that it was best that we both came back. But if I could, I would have stayed in Arkansas.
Okay. And then what about high school?
High school, I went to high school in South Bend, Indiana.
Okay. And how was that? What high school you go to?
John Adams.
Okay, so you was an Eagle. That's what's
right. Eagle Pride, one team, one family.
Okay, so when you came back to South Bend, what age were you when you came back? Or when you came to South Bend?
When I came to South Bend, it was the end of my 8th grade year, so summer.
Okay, so you just pretty much started off your high school career.
Yes, as the new girl again.
Okay. But how was it there? Do you have a good experience, or was it the same old?
It was better. I met my best friend. We still friends to this day, going on 10 years. I met some lifelong friends. Adams was more diverse. So I got to see more cultures, different backgrounds. Like in Benton Harbor, there's not really Asian kids or I don't want to be offensive, Arabs or anyone else. It's just Black with like 5 white people. Like 5 white people to 20 Black people. Like it was mostly Black I grew up around.
Okay. So I guess when you got to high school, did you start dating or anything like that in high school?
I start what?
Dating?
Yes.
Okay. So how was it? How was that like at the South Bend schools?
I felt like prey. I was the new girl and people thought I was pretty. So like my first day of school, it was upperclassmen just howling me down, trying to get the new girl, I guess.
All right, so you said you felt like prey, and basically the older classmen were trying to talk to you. Did you get into anything serious in high school? Because I know that's typically where people, find their first love.
Yes, that's where I got my first boyfriend. In high school, I was about 14.
Okay, so you're about a freshman?
Yes, a freshman. Okay. Freshman.
Okay. And he was a freshman as well, or?
No, at the time he was a junior.
Okay. So you guys started dating. I'm assuming it just started off pretty good. I mean, you're pretty young, so I know you're pretty naive.
Yes. Yeah, everybody had the moments where they was dumb. What made him stood out, unlike the other guys who was like, hey, shorty in the red, like the old typical, like I'm a holler. He actually came up, shook my hand, and introduced himself. And that made him stood out from everyone else. He walked me to all my classes. He walked me to the bus, which happened that we rode the same bus. We both stayed on the west side of South Bend towards downtown. So he always got off at my bus stop, walked me to my front door, made sure I was in, and then walked home. He presented himself as the perfect gentleman.
Okay. So how long were you guys together?
All together, I have to say about 8 or 9 years. But during the high school stage, it was a lot of, petty on and off.
Okay, so this went out of high school?
Yes, it went out of high school. We dated all the way up from when I was 14, and then I officially left around 23, 24, when I was like, this enough is enough, basically.
is when you guys basically just cut it completely.
Yes.
So let's kind of go back a little bit. What led to you to get there?
Get there. A big chunk of it is I ended up getting pregnant my senior year. And I wanted to uphold an image because a lot of the back and forth or breaking up had to do with other females. And I didn't want to make it seem like I was a statistic. Like I wanted to have the image that we was a family. We was gonna be a perfect happy family, and just to like being petty, a little nanny boo boo, like we still together. You thought I was gonna get pregnant, he was gonna leave me to the other girls that he was, messing around with.
You only have one kid, right?
Yes.
Okay, a boy or a girl?
Boy.
Okay. How is your guys' relationship currently?
Currently, it's hard because of everything that he put me through, and just because I'm sorry. It's like I constantly gotta look my abuser in the face when it has to do with my son. 'Cause my son came out, he was the spitting image of me. Everyone said all our friends, family members, wow, he looked like Sidea. Like when he came out, I thought something was wrong with my son because the first thing the doctor said was like she gasped. She was like, oh my goodness. And I'm looking at my mom because I had an emergency C-section. Like, what's going on? I can't see nothing. And then out of nowhere, she busts out, oh my goodness, he got your heart-shaped lips. I wanted him to have your lips so bad, and he got them. And he got your curly hair. He looked just like you. And then me and my mom just like sighed because I thought my son came out disformed or something was wrong the way that she gasped. But other than that, like I gotta constantly, now my son is starting to favor him. And then on top of me having to do visitations and stuff, I gotta constantly, like the rest of my life, I gotta deal with the man that broke me down to nothing.
Said that you had to look your abuser when you look at your son, correct?
Yes.
Okay, can you elaborate on that?
Well, now that my son, he's starting to sadly favor his dad, and with certain facial expressions that he'll make or whatever, I see his dad. And it's kind of hard because my son is the person I love the most, but he also tied to a person I hate the most. So it's challenging to try to juggle those emotions. Like, it's not that I hate my son for starting to look like his dad, but I don't know how to explain it. It's like sometimes when I look at him, he brings back the dark times of my life when he's supposed to be the sunshine in my life. So it's hard to manage those emotions.
Okay. So I know so you guys dated in high school as your first love. So where did it go bad? Like,
Yeah, it started out, I want to say, it started off bad my sophomore year. That's when I started noticing the cheating. Because in the summertime, I would leave and go in Benton Harbor and spend time with my cousins and family. Remember, I stayed there the whole summer. I come back and I notice another girl that's too friendly, too close for comfort. And then that's when the cheating started coming out. And then it's like, now that I'm looking back on it, it was a sign that I should have left because when I confront him about it, about the cheating or who is this girl, he'll get super angry and flip it on me and cuss me out. And this is why I don't want to be with you. This is why no one ever gonna want to be with you. You have no trust, this, that, and the third. And he like flip it on me to try to make me feel bad. And then I just apologize and we'll like make up.
so was it like for you, you looked at it more like a mental abuse thing or like reverse psychology, that type of thing he was using on you, you feel like?
Yes. If one thing I would give him is that he's charming. My son got that too. They is super charming. Like everyone loves them. Like they could do no wrong in no one's eyes. So when this first started going bad, and I was like he was abusing me mentally and stuff like that, I couldn't really go to no one about it because it was like everybody loved him. Like this is his hometown. Like his friends was his friends before they was my friends. So like I didn't really have nobody to talk to about it. All my siblings is older than me, so it's like I couldn't really feel like I could talk to them about it because they're just like, you like brush it off like I'm a kid. I shouldn't even be, going through stuff like this or talking about it.
Okay, but it's kind of weird. So to be a sophomore and go through any form of abuse is kind of weird because you're so young. Um, so do you think that he was maybe going through something at home to where he was just trying to take it out on you, or?
Um, I'm not really sure. From what I've been told, he grew up without his parents. He lived with his grandmother. Um, some stuff I really don't want to touch on because I feel like it's like family secret type stuff.
Okay. All right. So to kind of go back, you had your son when you were a senior, correct?
Yes.
And the table or things started to change with him when he was a sophomore. So I'm just assuming you stayed with him through all of that time because you said he was charming.
Yes.
Did you guys ultimately end up living with each other after you had your son, or was it more of like you guys saw each other at school, maybe on weekends?
I had my son, well, my due date was graduation day, but I ended up having him like a week after graduation on the 14th. Um, I was still living with my parents then because I'm fresh out of high school. But eventually, I ended up, since I'm a college student, I came across I forgot what it's called, like tax refund for being a college student. I got some money for that. And I used that to I wasn't driving then, didn't have my license. So I used that to get a house. We got our first apartment together on Olive Street. It was a brick apartment. I loved it because it was like the first time I like really got something that wasn't like a hand-me-down. That wasn't second use. For me being the youngest of 7 kids, I always got hand-me-downs. So it was like something I got for myself. And a mistake I didn't know, I was young and dumb. With the rest of the money, I gave to him for a car to put in his name. And that was just a mistake because he ended up wrecking it.
Okay. So how was it starting off when you guys first got your apartment? Did it start off good or was it still rocky with you two? Because now you're older, you're not sophomores anymore. You're pretty much adults.
Yeah, we pretty much grown. I was around 18, 19, and I left home with a newborn baby, with him on basically a dream because our plan was he was going to work, pay the bills. I was going to stay in school and maintain the household and take care of Kyrie.
And what were you going to school for?
Nursing and health science.
Okay. Right.
I made it all the way up to my sophomore year before I eventually dropped out. I dropped out because after a while, he started complaining about him never having money to, I guess, flex, like to go out with his friends, to drink, to buy clothes or whatever, because he had to pay all the bills. And I'm like, well, that was like what we agreed upon. And once I graduated and, got a job as a nurse, if he wanted to stop working, he could have, and I would have, returned the favor and started paying the bills. So I eventually dropped out because it was too much maintaining a household. And it was like I was taking care of 2 kids because boys don't mature as fast as girls. So it's like I was taking care of newborn and him maintaining a house and going to school and working because I had to start working because he wouldn't let up on it. He reneged a lot. That was another thing in our relationships. He went back on his word. And growing up, my dad always told me a man's word is his bond. without his word, a man is nothing. So I started to look at him as less of a man when he always reneged and went back on something.
Okay. So nothing really changed. 'Cause I know a lot of people growing up, including myself, I've experienced this, but you end up having a kid with somebody young, and then you move together, which I feel like is like a huge mistake. Is moving in with somebody at a young age, fresh out of high school. I think is a big mistake. So just like everybody else, I'm assuming you guys had some problems after a while.
Yeah. Um, but when we got our first place together, that's when the abuse started to get physical.
Okay.
Um, the first time he hit me, it was actually back in high school. Uh, it was during a breakup, and I went to his house to get my stuff. Like, I had pillows over there. I had just like random stuff like hot hoodies, sweatpants, and stuff. Like, we'll wear each other hoodies, sweatpants, or whatever. Like, I'm not proud of it. It was like times I stayed the night over there, so that's why I had like pillows and covers and stuff over there. Like, he'll sneak me in the house and I stay the night, and vice versa. He'll climb through my window and he'll stay the night at our house. Or
Some love and basketball stuff.
yes, like we used to have sleepovers or whatever, if that's what you want to call it. During the break, I was getting my stuff. And as I was coming down the stairs, he was at the bottom of the stairs. And he was like, "So this really what you're going to do? You're going to just take your stuff and leave me?" I'm like, "Yeah, what else do you want me to do? Like, you don't want me. You messing with such and such, such and such, and such and such. Obviously, you don't want me." Like, that was my attitude. And then that's when he like tackled me on the stairs. And he didn't really hit me. I don't think I was braced for impact. I fought my siblings all the time. I got 8 brothers. I know when they slam me, just ball up because they're going to start punching. And it was more like, I think he did it to intimidate me. He was punching around me. Like, I'm on the ball, he on the stairs, just punching the stairs, screaming. I'm just balled up in the ball. Like, "Please stop, please stop, please stop." And then it got to a point where I just got scared. I was like, "Fine, you want me to stay? I'll stay. I won't leave." And I just gave him all my stuff back. And we hugged and ended up watching TV on the couch.
Okay. So I guess a lot of people don't understand this because always the easy answer when people ask you, why would you stay with somebody who put their hands on you? And it's like people think it's so easy just to leave that situation. Do you want to kind of explain like why is it so hard for people who are in that situation and just leave like everybody think you should? Like what made you stay?
I honestly do not know what made me stay, but growing up, like, I'll be watching Lifetime movies and people getting abused and staying with crazy guys. I'm like, that'll never be me. I'll never stay. As soon as a guy hit me, I'm leaving. Like, I know my worth. Like, I never, until I got put in that situation and I stayed. Because I'm like, ain't that much love in the world to let a motherfucker mistreat you. But I guess love is a hell of a drug because I fucking stayed.
How long did that last? The physical abuse, or how bad did it get?
Um, it When it started to get bad, I started to call the police. But the thing is with the police, since he's so charming, he never got arrested. It's like the police would come, it's me, emotional, crying, like, because I just got my ass whooped, like, and I couldn't do nothing about it. Like, how would you feel you got your ass whooped? You can't do nothing about it because the person is bigger and stronger than you. So I'm all emotional when the police come. He's calm, collective. "Hey, how you doing?" Going up to officers, shaking their hand. Like, while I'm packing at officers, like, this best situation for that, they always just like, someone leave and someone stay. And I always packed up and left because he wasn't going to leave. So to just be like, I always was, I guess, a pushover, like whatever, like fine, I just do it just to get the situation over with. So I always packed up and I left. And what made it hard was that he was charming. Like the officers, like even though I was the victim, I feel like the officers always sided with him because he's so charming. And then what made it worse was some of the officers when they was the officers at the school with us. And like I said, this is his hometown. Everybody loved him. He could never do any wrong. So like those officers, like they didn't believe me. They was like, "Ain't no way such and such would do that. There's no way." Like I watched him grow up. Like he would never, do this or whatever. And after a while, like when the police started getting involved, he got more smarter with how he hit me. Like he'll, instead of doing a closed fist, it'll be like an open hand, or like he'll like swing me around, roughing me up, like muff me, where he wouldn't really leave marks. So sometimes, on the times where I should have called the police, when I had the marks, when I had the bruises, when I had the busted lip, I didn't. So now it's like police coming, all I got as proof is, my tears. I didn't, like, after a while, he stopped leaving marks.
Okay. What are some of the reasons he would get mad at you and get to that point where he would want to get physical?
It always came down to, like I said earlier, I catch him cheating. Like, well, it's talking to a girl, actually meeting up with a girl, finding out that he actually did something with a girl. He'll get real aggressive and flip it on me. And back then I was a pushover, so I always be like, all right, whatever, I'm just tripping, leave it as is. Or because he was cheating, and I'm not to my own horn, I'm not a bad looking girl, so he would always accuse me of cheating. But he always had passwords to my phone, my Instagram, Facebook, all of that. And like he'll see messages that people send me. Like it'd be people dead ass talking to themselves in my inbox, but he'll still get mad at people basically giving me compliments or shooting their shot. And my whole attitude about it was, I can't control what no one's sending me. All I control is my response. But he'll still get mad because he'll still somehow, it'll be no message of me responding back. He's still just in his head. Since they message me, I gotta be cheating, or I gotta be messing around just because he's doing it.
Okay. So, it just sounded more so like it was a lot of insecurities he had.
Yes.
Okay, so while all of this is happening, is your son witnessing any of this, or was he pretty good at not doing anything in front of your son?
It was a mixture of both. Since our son was young, he was barely even one on some of the incidents that happened. He was barely one. And then the older he got, but he usually tried to wait until our son was asleep. So it's usually always 9 times out of 10 happen at nighttime. Like after dinner, after I done cooked, put the baby to bed, cleaned up. Like I'll be in the middle of washing dishes, he'll come in. Who the fuck is such and such? You a fucking hoe. How the fuck you gonna, talk to a nigga while you staying in my house? Like type shit. Which technically wasn't, if it wasn't for my down payment or whatever, for my tax money, we wouldn't be in an apartment. But since he was paying the bills, which he was supposed to, it was his house. It was never our house. It was always his house. His house, his rules.
Okay, so when was it the last straw for you? What incident happened where you were just like, yeah, I'm done, I'm getting out of here?
It was a couple of years later, around when I was 23, 24. I eventually left Olive Street and just said, fuck it, left all my stuff. Which was heartbreaking because I made it feel like a home. Like before we moved in, I bought beds, couches, silverware, plates, like curtains. Like I decorated it. I made it feel like home. Because we didn't have much growing up, but our home always felt like home. Like it was always comfortable. It was always cozy. It was always clean. So I tried to keep that same feeling. So I did all of that. And it was really hard for me to leave because I did a lot to that house. I painted and everything. Like my sunroom was Ninja Turtle. I still got the covers for it. For his bed set. He was obsessed with Ninja Turtles. Like it was heartbreaking. Like I left clothes, shoes, and basically went to my parents and started over. And then after that, I got my own house, which was right around the corner from him, which wasn't smart. It was he was on Olive Street, and then I moved on Huey Street. Then after a while, I'm doing good. Like I got a good paying job. I mean, my son is good. I got a house full of furniture. Everything is lovely. And then he charmed his way back in. He gave me a sob story because my house, I had a 2-bedroom. It was listed a 2-bedroom, but it was really a 4. I had a 2-bedroom, then it had a finished basement with a den, 2 extra rooms. He claims he fell on hard times. He don't got nowhere else to go. He can't go back to his grandmother. He burnt that bridge because he chose, I guess, he tried to make it seem like he chose. It was either her or us. And he chose his family, his new family that he created, so he couldn't go back to her. And I offered to, let him stay in the basement. I'm like, you can stay in the basement, get on your feet or whatever. That's fine. And then it started, and then he charmed his way back into, okay, I'll give you another chance.
Yeah, so what did you do then?
Hoops did you have to jump through to
leave?
This is the hard part to tell. Because yes, he always hit me and beat me, but this night was different. This night, I actually thought I was going to lose my life. This night, it'd been a while since we haven't been together. Probably been like a year or 2 since we've been separated, and I got my own place on Huey Street. He came back asked just to stay if he can get on his feet, and then after him begging and pleading, I finally gave in to giving our relationship one last try. And this was like around dinner time. He was like, you mind if I, stay in the living room and watch TV or whatever? Like, yeah, okay. We ate dinner, put Kai to bed. I'm in bed sleep. This is before I cut my hair and locked my hair. I had the big curly puff ball with the baby hairs. I thought I was cute, but I had that. I'm asleep. I remember waking up, getting dragged out the bed by my ponytail. Him hitting me in the face, calling me all type of bitches and hoes and tricks. And after a while, I'm starting to put stuff together. He must have went to my phone. And I noticed he had my phone in his hand. And I'm sitting on the floor. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then he was like, you told me you never talked to him. You never did anything. We all worked together at a point in time, and he, I guess, considered him as a friend, but they never really hung out or did anything outside of work. And I more so worked with him than him because it was factory, so he was in a different part of the building. We was in the same building. Never really did nothing with him. I just, I'm still young. I'm still cute. At that time, I thought I was single. Like, I'm not going back to him. So I started to respond to those messages. And then that whole night, it started around 11 midnight. It's just in my room, I had one of those latch hooks on my door. And then he was like, nah, you said we was gonna work this out. We was gonna get through it. He was like, I bet we about to work this out. I remember him closing the door, locking it. Kid you not, Kyrie was probably like, I want to say 3 or 2. I want to say 3 or 4. He was young still. And then I just remember saying, not in front of Kyrie, not in front of my baby, not in front of my baby. And then he was like, I bet. So he unlocked the door again. He had Kyrie in his arms and he was carrying Kyrie to his room. And then I thought it was my chance, get the fuck out. So I get up to try to run out the door. And when I was in the hallway, about to step right foot in the living room, that's when he grabbed me by my ponytail again. And then he pulled me back into the room, unlocked the door again. And then it felt like hours. He just sat on the edge of the bed while I sat on the floor with my legs up against my chest, balled up, because every time he saw something in my phone that he didn't like, whether it was a message or someone commented on a status, I got hit. It was just blow after blow after blow. And it seemed like I was just sitting there like, you know what, fuck it. This is the night I'm gonna die. This is the night he gonna go too far. This is what really got me was it was one night I was at a bar. It was a video of me kissing a girl at a bar. And it felt like I got knocked out because I started to see I thought it was only in cartoons and stuff. I started to see stars and squiggly lines and stuff like that. And I hear a ringing sound, kind of like a fan being on. And I just remember him saying, I thought now you want to be gay? You gay? I thought you wasn't gay. I knew you was gay. I knew you always liked the bitches. I remember that. And then, I remember I'm coming to and I'm still on the floor. I don't know how long it's passed, but I believe I got knocked out because I don't remember. I just remember waking up on the floor why the fuck am I on the floor? And then every time he saw something else in my phone, he'd sling me around the room, bang me up against the dresser, up against the wall, up against the bed. I peed on myself 3 times because I was honestly just scared for my life. But every chance I got, I made a run for the door. But I had to unlock 2 locks, the lock on the handle and the latch, and I could never be quick enough. So it seemed like as hard as I'm trying to be fast, I'm not fast enough. So that's why I'm thinking, fuck it, this is the night I can't get away. And then after a while, I finally made it out, and I made it to the front door. I unlocked the doors. No shoes, no shirt. I was in bed. I think I had on some panties and a sports bra. And I'm just running down the street. It's pitch black. I'm stepping on glass, rocks. I'm just running. And then before I made it to Wicked Way, I just stopped. And my heart sunk because I realized I left Kyrie. I don't get Kyrie, so I had to go back. And when I went back, he was just in the doorway waiting for me. And I couldn't even step on the porch before he grabbed me and snatched me back into the house. And that's when the beating left the bedroom and ended up in the living room. And he still beating me. He beating me. I had a dog named Simba. He in a cage. He barking. Just barking. And I was just thinking, this was my punishment because neighbors, if they hear something, they usually come knock or they'll send the police. But this time, it's no help was coming. I wasn't going to get saved this time. So with all this commotion going on, I'm like, where's my help? Why ain't no one helping me? So then as I'm just getting beat, I'm just thinking this is my punishment. This is God punishing me because I should have been left. I shouldn't have let him came back. I should have stayed gone, and now he punishing me and about to teach me a lesson because I let him come back. So I'm just sitting there And I'm praying and I'm just like, somebody help me. Like, I won't come back. I won't let him come back. I swear I won't let him come back. If you just get him off of me this time, this one last time, I won't let him come back into my life. I won't. I won't. And then after, it was like about, I remember the sun starting to come up, and then he just stopped. I guess he realized how swollen my face was getting. And I'm just laying there and he looking at me. And then he just get to walking, pacing back and forth. I guess he's thinking like what he gonna do, because I looked like I was beaten. Like it looked like I was half dead. Like I guess he was trying to figure out what he was gonna do, how he was gonna get away with it this time. And then I'm just thinking, I just started apologizing to him. I'm sorry. Like, I'm on my hands and knees, like, my arms wrapped around his leg. I'm sorry. I won't call the police. I won't let nobody know this happened. I'll stay in the house. I won't go to work today. I will call off. Just calm down. Just stop and calm down. And then, I didn't want to go in the room because the room smelled like piss. I done peed all on the floor. I done peed on the bed. So I had a sectional. We put the couches together and we went to sleep like nothing happened. And I felt like that's the safer thing to do because I'm stuck in the house. My son is in his room. He still got my phone. I know the neighbors heard all the commotions, but they didn't do nothing. So I felt like the best thing I had to do was lay next to him and acted like I loved him at that moment when I knew I didn't. Just for, I felt like I could still be alive. And then next day came, it was like 8 a.m. He left and went to work. I still didn't have my phone. On that time, Kyrie was starting to wake up. Kyrie looking at me funny, like turning his head sideways, like, a kid, but he can't really talk. But Kyrie noticed, like, mommy's hurt. Something wrong with mommy.
I know.
And then that's when I packed up my stuff and I left. I didn't really pack up much for me. I made sure Kyrie had a diaper bag and I left. And I got to my mom's house. She, of course, noticed. She was panicking. I told her I fell down the stairs. That's like the best excuse I could come up with, top of my head. And then she was like, "The guest room is yours if you need it." It was normal for me to go to my parents' house, stay a couple of days, and go home. But I'm like, people saw me. People saw my face. People saw the marks, but they still didn't help. And I felt like I really had no one. Like, I didn't have my own family. I didn't have my own friends. It's like they questioned it, but I felt like, wish they would have pushed it. I wish they would have been the strength that I obviously didn't have for myself. I wish that the people that I loved the most was the strength for me, but they wasn't. So it's like I was in an endless cycle of always going back because that's all I felt like that's all I had was to go back. I had no other option. If I didn't go back, I wasn't gonna have a home. If I didn't go back, how was me and Kyrie gonna eat? How was Kyrie gonna get diapers? Because at a point in time, he handled everything financially. So, but no one ever stepped up. It's like, I got you. So I felt like I always had to go back.
Okay, so you ended up leaving on your mom's house, and that was pretty much it for you returning back to him.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know you personally, so obviously you're doing a lot better. So congratulations on that. I have seen your son on social media. You look like you do a good job. So salute to you because not a lot of people especially single moms, they have it kind of hard. I grew up pretty much with a single mom for a long time, so I got a lot of respect for the ones that take care of their business. Um, so with that being said, just to close out, what would you say? What advice would you give to somebody that's getting ready to go in the same position as you, that's getting these early signs? What advice do you have for them, or maybe a younger version of yourself? What advice would you have?
Don't ignore your gut feeling. No matter how much you think you love a person, love yourself more. Don't ignore the red flags. They red for a reason. Red mean caution. Take caution. Don't ignore it.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming through, being our first episode. I think it's very important that we have more stories like this for a lot of women, because a lot of people do go through this, and maybe this video they'll see it and they'll have the strength to leave before it gets bad for them. So again, thank you for coming out.
Thank you.